Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and as you know is my pattern, we're in for another hard-hitting video, so buckle up. It's not that you're simply just repeating patterns in your life, you are living from the same identity over and over and over again, which is why essentially you can't move forward. You're trying to make changes, you're trying to change your habits, you're trying to go to the gym more, for example, or you're trying to become this, you're trying to become more confident. Until you do what I'm about to talk about, your life simply will not change, and that is just the truth of it. So I hope you feel called out. Let's dive in even deeper. You think that your problem, like I said, is your habits, your mindset, your confidence, your discipline. So you try and change these things. You try and think better, you try and act better, you try and show up in a different way, but nothing is fully sticking, and not in a way that's going to actually change your life. You might make these changes for a little while and then slip back to what you've always done, because you cannot change your reality with the same identity that created it. It's not going to happen. That is my entire core message. So I hope that you are beginning to understand that. Because if you are trying to change what you do without realizing what's actually creating it, it's not going to happen. You're going to, like I said, you're always going to slip back to what you were doing before. And I want you to also know that your behavior is not just random. It's actually not something that you have to fix or heal. It's just a different reflection of who it is that you believe that you are. That is the whole core thing, and your brain will always slip back to that, your baseline identity, or who it is that you believe that you are, your core, because it's your absolute baseline in life, and it's determining what feels natural to you, what feels uncomfortable, what you're going to tolerate in life, what you're going to move towards or make moves on. So like I've said before many times, if you are thinking that your identity is still that you're just someone who just second guesses herself, you're someone who's still figuring it out, and someone who needs to work more on herself and heal and dig into her childhood wounds, you are going to stay there. And if you're saying things like, I'm just an anxious person and I just have no confidence, that is who you are going to be, because that is who you believe yourself to be, and you're going to stay stuck in that until you change your baseline identity. Nothing else in your life is going to change. I made Instagram content on this, but I feel like I have had multiple versions of myself already in my life, and I feel like there's so many more that I want to live. And every single time, it's not because I was trying harder or because I was simply working on myself. I made all these changes because I stopped being that version of me who created the life that I was living at the time. So for example, when I was living in the UK, I was party girl Susie. I was going out every weekend, I was getting really drunk, I was always planning the fun things to go to, and I would just keep repeating that loop because I was identifying as party girl Susie. But then when I woke up one day and I just realized this is not who I am anymore, I didn't try and stop drinking, I didn't try and stop going out every weekend. I just became the person who did those things. So I just simply became a non-drinker, not someone who was trying to stop drinking, because I would keep being stuck in that trying mode or phase. Multiple things I've done this with, like for example, I used to be quite a heavy smoker when I was much younger. And what? I just became a non-smoker. I didn't become someone who was trying not to smoke. I hope you can see where I'm going with that. I thought it was really important to talk about our stories and share and show you where this has shown up in my life, and hopefully that you can find some of this relatable. I didn't try and fix all these things. I didn't try and heal to make these changes. I simply stopped identifying as the person who lived in that reality. This is what most people will never understand. You simply do not rise into a new life, you operate from a new identity. This truly is the absolute key. And once your identity shifts, everything else in your life is going to follow. Your behavior, your decisions, your standards, your results that you generate, and just everything really. How the world responds to you will change, the opportunities that you will see, not because that you're forcing it or you're making it harder, but because it's just simply who you are. Not because you're forcing it or you're working harder, but simply because it is who you believe yourself to be. So the question is not, how do I change my habits? The question that you should be asking is, who am I being when I'm making the choices that I'm making? Because if that doesn't change, nothing else will. And if you're now realizing that you've been trying to change your life, change your habits, without actually changing the baseline identity, so the core root problem, that is really why nothing in your life is shifting. Inside my Identity Masterclass, Identity Recode, I'm going to break all this down properly. I'm going to talk to you about how your baseline identity is truly running your entire reality, what you can do to actually shift it, and show you that it is truly what is running your life. And so you can't change the surface of like your habits, your mindset. You need to change your identity that you're operating as. If you want a different life, you don't need to put in more effort. You simply need a new identity. I'll see you there.